Well, today on Nation of Window Cleaners podcast, we're talking all about tracking. How to track, why you would want to track, and how to be better at tracking. So, if you're in window cleaning or any type of professional service, stay tuned to WCR Nation. What's up, everybody? Jersey here from windowcleaner.com, and you are here. What's up? If it's your first time here, have a look around, man. This thing has been going on for 7 years officially. This is our 7th year. It's crazy. Anyway, lots of episodes, lots of content, and some of them not half bad. Anyway, if you're watching or listening to the podcast, feel free to leave a review too, because, that's what you're supposed to do, I guess. But today, that's what we're talking about is tracking. And tracking as a whole is something that people do so surfacely, on the surface. The word. Superficial? Anyway, they just kind of don't get into it as much as they could. And I'll tell you, if you don't track or know specifically what is coming from where in general, how the heck are you possibly understanding what works? There's a saying that's, you just throw it against the wall and see what sticks kind of thing. That's what you're doing in business. Like, if you just kind of put stuff out there or it just happens, cool. Like, that's fine. But you have zero idea of what to invest in if and when you want to get bigger, sell more, whatever. It's so amazing. These people out there kind of look at Facebook groups and YouTube and everything else and go, hey, everybody's doing this thing. I'll do this thing. And then they just don't really track it. Or they put stuff out there and they let it sit and they're like, yeah, this ad's been out there for 2 months and really don't get anything. And you're still paying for it. Like, we talk split testing. Split testing is always continually changing things to see what works. But how do you know it works unless you're doing the tracking side? And I know it's boring. I know it's part of the business where if you or anybody is out of the field, that side of it, you're like, well, what am I going to do now? This is one of them. If you have somebody answering the phones, if you have an office person, they have to be tracking. They have to be finding out where everybody is calling from, because everything you do goes towards that. Everything has to be tracked to find out where do you spend your money, but where is it bringing your money? If you track, you can find out what your buying triggers are. You can find out what people respond to. You can find out what your customers are interested in. And I know on the surface, people are like, if I just track, I guess I know where, I'm spending money, but I just do stuff and it works out. I'm growing every year, and well, it's fine. But how many times when somebody starts tracking, they find out how many things just suck, and how many pieces of the puzzle just fall apart. And I'll tell you something. Now, this is going to age me a little bit other than my gray hair. But when I did the phone book for a long time. And the phone book was kind of going out. It wasn't really big and, kind of whatever. But in your head, you're like, I got to do the phone book. I still get people. There's still old people out there in the phone book, and we still get people in. Well, every year the phone book would send their rep, and my guy came, and we'd sit down, and he would tell me all the numbers and how awesome it is, and he's got this great opportunity, and we should do this and all this other stuff. But before that, I took my chart. I had started tracking everything. And I'll get kind of more into how I did that, really, what it looked like. But I pulled it all out, and I found that we had an entire year. We had one person who got us out of the phone book, one person. And it was such a small job, it was our truck minimum. And nothing wrong with jobs in general. That's why you have a truck minimum. You got to be happy even doing that job. So at the time, it was $149 was a truck. But this is years and years ago. $149. I did one job. So let's take into account that there's labor. So I got labor for that. Not even cost of acquisition or any of that stuff, but I just take labor, right? We'll say that labor is about 30%, overhead expenses. Say I could get to, on that one job, if it was packed in a bunch of other stuff, one job, maybe I could get 50% of that job as profit. Now, that's a very, very high, but I'm not good at math and it's early. But if I could get 50% out of that, it would be $75, right? So I made $75 profit out of the phone book for that year. Now, at the time, I was spending $280 or $380 a month to be in the phone book. And I made $75. And if you would have, it was one of those, like, I stared at it for like 2 minutes. Like, could that be right? Like, if you told me at that time, yeah, the phone book made you $75 this year, I'd be like, no, it didn't. Like, I'll get people from there still. It's old people. That's how they find us. Absolutely mind-blowing. And I had no idea, because I was just kind of going on the surface and figuring what I thought and what I saw. And until I actually started tracking every single customer, I had no idea. I was losing thousands of dollars a year on that one thing, the phone book. Now, I know nowadays nobody's in the phone book. And I know that, even saying that now is like, well, you should have known, but it's at the time. I didn't know, right? Maybe you're doing a service that you think is doing great, but if you don't know, maybe it's your new phone book, right? Maybe, the ads you do are like, oh, they're all right. They're not as good as they should be, but how much profit are you making? Are you tracking? Are you really knowing? It's mind-blowing to find the things that you think, because we live in our bubble. When the truth happens, you're like, whoa, I was way off. And I know you've probably had that happen in a lot of different things. It just kind of pops up and you don't really know. So how do you track on the simplest form? And I'll tell you, in tracking, the bigger the business, the more logistics, numbers. I'm a numbers guy. But the more numbers people get into. You're talking, the Coca-Cola guys have departments that all they do is run marketing numbers and sales numbers and shareholders and dividends and blah, all that stuff. But in yours, how do you even start? Like, you can't crack into something and just do it all. But all you can do to start, literally today, you could start this. And you know that I push for 100% phone bids, everything over the phone. It makes zero sense in my head. And if you're doing something different, it's totally cool. But 0 cents, there's not one benefit that can outweigh anything by going and doing in-person bids. It's a waste of time. They're talking to other people. They want it done now. Your close rate can go. Anyway, I won't get into that. But when somebody calls you and they say, hey, I want to bid, you're going to ask them some questions. Great. Well, what's your name? Address, phone number, start kind of getting some information from them. And in the information, the bidding process, which only takes maybe 2 minutes total. But when I'm asking that, which takes 10 minutes or 10 seconds for, information, my last one was like, and finally, how did you hear of us? And I pointed out that way because the biggest piece to the puzzle is what will stick with them. So understand that in advertising, when you have EDDM, and then you also have Facebook ads, and then you have logos on your trucks, and then somebody out there's talking about it, like eventually somebody will see something from you and it will finally trigger. And it may be, well, yeah, we have heard all that other things, but they'll only tell you usually one thing. Oh, no, Jan Smith sent me. Oh, perfect. I'll have to say thanks to Jan. She's so great. That's a referral. Now I know, referral. If they say, oh, I just Googled window cleaning. Perfect, SEO. Like, you can track what they say and put it in. Now, when you're taking all this information, that information has to go somewhere. Don't look at it as just like a bunch of lines and be like, oh, it looks like there's a lot. No. What we're doing now is we're putting that into usually our CRM. There's a location for that. Or if you're a spreadsheet person, you can start your own spreadsheet that way. And as soon as somebody says, now, mind you, by the way, look at your CRM, but a lot of them have note spots in them for the customer to be, how did they hear of us? Like, how did they come to you? And you can use that because now every time that they do a service, you can pull annual reports and see where everybody's coming from and how much money. Because somebody may say, hey, I got you from a Facebook ad, whatever. And if they book for you for $200, and the next person says, I got you from Google, and they book you for $200, in your head, you go, well, great, both of them are doing awesome. But what if the guy from Facebook does it every month? The other one never comes back. What if, there's more to that? So as a whole, you can see it as a year, and this information takes a ton of time to build up. But as you get information, you can use the information. But even on the surface, I can see how many people are calling. I can see how many people call versus how many people are closed. It's interesting. You could see Facebook ads are great. I love them personally. They're amazing. When you get them dialed in, they're phenomenal. A lot of the times that stuff you can go through messages. You can get people in with phone numbers from that, but a lot of times it's pushed through messages. And you'll see that messages may have more people contact you, but a lower close rate because there's more tire kickers. So how do we get rid of the tire kickers? We put more information in the ad for pricing. Now people aren't just inquisitive because they already know. Now I can raise that up. I can tell you where the most amount of work is coming from and what forms of advertising work best and where the dollars are spent. And it's all back to the fact that you track everything. You can then see the results. You can interpret the results, and then you can change things based on the results. And that's the first one. It's just simply asking, how did you hear of us? Because they may have seen all that stuff, but then the last thing they said, well, I just Googled your company. And if that's the last thing, which a lot of people just do that, then there's a lot of factors that come into it. Okay, they Google window clearing near me and they saw you, something with your logo kind of registered, or, something made them call you. You stopped the whole process and then got the close. Awesome. There's people who'd be like, well, I Googled the best company. You guys have the most reviews. Okay, they've told you even more information, right? They looked it up and they found you and chose you because of all your reviews, right? All these little things allow you to know how I spend my money. Because every time somebody asks me, hey, what should I do for advertising? I will tell you right now, the answer is anything to figure it out and what your budget allows. So when you first start, people go, well, I don't want to do the wrong thing. You're going to do the wrong thing. You do the wrong thing. You do your split test. You go, there's nothing in this area. That's not where my customer is. You cut it off. You have to know when to stop something. Like billboards and radio ads and golf cards, scorecards, like grocery carts. Those things don't really work. Maybe they do for you. They don't for me at all, ever. I've tried them all. They just don't work as a whole. So I just don't even advertise for them. But I like Facebook ads. And with good split testing and changing and doing things, you can get phenomenal Facebook ads. Maybe you didn't get great Facebook ads. Maybe your Facebook ads have not yielded really well. Maybe you haven't changed anything and that's a split testing issue. But if you think some piece of this is not working the way it should, it's telling you either stop doing it or change it. And if you don't actually track those numbers, you're not going to know. So having that front end, okay, this month, 32% of people came in from referrals. Okay, great. Well, let's look at referrals. How do we get more, right? Hey, 32% this month came in from reviews. Oh, cool. Let's call a nice job, or let's figure out how to send emails regularly to these customers. How do we get the quick, simple click for a review? How do I put the QR code on, a review card that I put? Like, how do I increase those? I'm willing to put money towards things if it's bringing me in more money. The more I can spend on certain things, if I know it's bringing me money back, the more I'm happy to spend. You're not just blindly, like I said, throwing stuff against the wall, hoping that it sticks. And on top of all of that, in the advertising dollars makes sense to see what works when and how. The more visual it is that you can see how your customers, your avatar, right? If most of the people do this, then that is who you're chasing, because most of your market, most of your customer base, most of your potential person likes those things. So if, say, Facebook ads work so much better than everything else, you've done the same ads on mailers, EDDM, as you have Facebook ads, then that's telling you your area, your customer, your clientele, your age group, your blah, 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 your demographic likes Facebook. Cool. Let's up our Facebook page. Let's get found that way. Let's start answering a lot of questions. The people that want us are there, right? Okay, shameless plug of the week. I am a rep for windowcleaner.com. It is what I do. I would love to be your rep. That's how I make money. It costs you nothing extra, and I get money for it to buy hair gel or whatever you deem me to buy. But all you have to do is save this cart in your checkout. As you're going to checkout, just click it. It's right above the pay buttons. Save this cart. Shoot me a text at 862-312-2026. Let me know what I can do, how I can put it in. If you don't have an order saved yet, not a problem. Just text me like, yo, I need this, this, and this. And that is absolutely it. I make it easy for you. It's no extra money for you, but I get credit for it, and I would be forever grateful. Also, if you haven't yet, go and get your subscription to the American Window Cleaner magazine. Go to awcmag.com/sub. It's $69 a year. It's a magazine, paper magazine, new redesigns, absolutely amazing, with sticker sheets, shipped to your door. Go and get it because it's phenomenal, and you're phenomenal too. If you can track how and where people are coming from, then you can advertise. It gives you so much more information. So much more information. Very interesting, I guess, is we had, I donate. Anytime a company calls me and says, hey, we're having a silent auction, I was wondering if you guys would like to donate to it. If it's even a halfway decent thing I've heard of, I'm going to donate. Just because there's a lot of benefits to it, but it's nice just to do your thing, feel like you're helping. That's my thing. You don't ever have to donate if you don't want to, but for me, it was what I like to do. But I'll tell you is that there were some shows, there were groups. So there was a zoo one that I did a lot. And then there was another one that was like a local charity that did, they did kind of house restoration, I guess, sort of. Anyway, there were a few charities that just did so well for us that, yes, I still was donating. It was great. But now the next year, I want to donate more. How do I want to sponsor a part of it. Can I do something and put a banner up, or what else can I do? Right? There were some of them where it was like, no one ever called from or anything, but every time we would do, say the zoo one was great. Every time we would do something at the zoo, I'd have 4 or 5 people call me the Monday or Tuesday after this show ended to get quotes and book stuff. They didn't win anything. Or they would usually say something funny about, well, I didn't win, so I figured I'd have to call you and actually pay. And I go, oh man, well, maybe next year's your year, right? There was so much connection there. And the reason I knew is because when I asked, how did you hear of us? I go, well, you know what? I was at the Zoological Society fundraiser on Saturday, and your name popped up, and everybody was really bidding on it, and fantastic. I always found out how much my stuff went for too, just from those shows. Oh, great. Oh, do you know what the highest bid went up to? I just want to, oh, it's so awesome. Just so glad that, we can help the society out. That's great. But now I'm getting customers from that. If I didn't ask the question, I wouldn't have known where they come from. I would have thought this thing that I did was just like, donate, maybe next year, like, I don't really want to donate any. Like, now I know that not only do I like donating, but it's getting me something back. There's so many parts. If you look at what you're doing or what you've been doing, there's so many things you're not asking just to do simple tracking that you're missing all of that data. When you get a really good CRM, a program that, you can search everything in the CRM, right? And I'll give you an example. This is years ago, people obviously went on like index cards, right? Maybe they had an Excel spreadsheet on their computer or something. And you couldn't really track things. There was just so many pieces to it. It wasn't, you'd have to manually think of something to enter. Then came QuickBooks. QuickBooks then went online, which was even better at the time. But those were all things where all of a sudden you could add all these different things. You could say, what do they spend? You could take notes. You could do all this stuff. But then the best part about it is by the click of a button, you could see all of that data pulled out and put into one spot. That's where the power came in. That's where everything really, really, really started to click for companies when they could track everything and see what was working, right? On all of those things, I can also see that if I have, like I said, the Facebook example, if I have 10 people call me in a day from Facebook and only book 2 of them, I can tailor how they see things, how people call me, but more importantly, how people are closed. Why did the 2 get closed? You know what? I notice on Facebook, every time a Facebook Messenger comes in, I respond right away and they just don't say anything. Okay, so how do I change it? Can I change the form style? Are they really just calling for questions? Are they, maybe the button I have in my ad says for more information or more info. Maybe instead I should say buy now. That'll stop people from just asking, right? Maybe I could put the information out there so now people don't have to click, right? If I'm paying for every time somebody messages me and I'm paying for 10 of them but getting 2 of them, how do I get that number to 3 of them and get 2 of them? Right? Now I can tailor that in. Now I just hone that side of it in and I'm spending less money on Facebook ads and getting the same amount. I'm wasting less money. And there's a big thing in marketing. I always say marketing is not spending, it's investing, which is absolutely true. When you put money into marketing, when it's done right, you're investing that money, right? You go and give $100 to Apple stock. You're hoping they do really good things with that money so that that stock is then worth $150. But you miss the fact that you can do that with yourself and you have all of the control. So fail or succeed, it's on you. So, how do I invest in myself smartly, right? I need to know that when I put my money into something that it does something specific. And now I can know. I can track all that, right? I can track every piece to that and find out where to put my money, where to keep my money, and what my money's doing. Because if you have a budget this year of $10,000 for advertising, $50,000, doesn't matter the number. That number is that number, no matter if it brings you in $50,000 or it brings you in $200,000. The number you spend is the same. You just want more for it. Like if I said, okay, if you do Facebook ads, I will guarantee you that for every $100 you spend, you'll get $1,000 back. You'd be like, oh my gosh. Like if I could grow that fast and big, I'd go borrow money because it's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. But what we try to do is produce something that's as close to guaranteed. I know all of those. I know all of those facts, but I also know now my close ratio. A big piece of that closing ratio is that when people do come in, I know that if a person is calling, hey, I'm just calling for a quote, I know I can improve that closing ratio because that particular person is one subsect. I know if I'm fast, quick, and tell them the date right away, they want to get off the phone and they want to book, they're not going to call anybody else, I can get an incredibly high close rate by doing things a certain way. The same side of it is that when I track, I know that my closing rate isn't doing certain well on one side or one thing, and I can change the close rate by how did they come of us. Okay, if somebody came from a referral and my referrals are not 100%, what am I doing wrong? Okay, so I track that. I got 22 referrals last month, but I only closed 18 of them. If you're not closing every referral coming in, what are you doing? You talked yourself out of it. Okay, now I got to record my pitch and see what I'm saying and how they're taking it. What are these people looking for? Like, how am I changing this? Now I can see because I know the numbers. A lot of times, our brains instantly go to the sexy numbers, the simple things, right? How much do you want to make? What's your goal? Oh, I want to make $1 million. You'll never make $1 million exactly, right? It's like some number over it. Like $1,017.33 is like, oh yeah, I broke $1 million. That's reality. But your brain says, I want to make $1 million. So in that same thing, it goes towards these simple, sexy numbers for everything. So when you say, oh man, how many jobs did you get from Facebook last month? Oh man, probably, 15, 20. Guess you don't know. No, I think it was like 15 or 20 something. So you don't know. Like, understand the knowing specific. 15 to 20 is a guess. Even if I said, I think we got 20 of them, you didn't. You got something around there, maybe, even if you're close. The difference between that, when you start figuring things out, change that number. Like, we did pretty well. Just a couple houses different, and you're like, we did not do that well. Where can I invest my money? You can find all of that by tracking. All of that. And it's such an easy thing for people to do. Just one extra step, and people don't do it. Here's another piece of that is the repeat stuff. I will live and die on this mountain that a business exists because of repeat. If you get one job and then you just have to go find another job because there's no repeat, you'll spend your entire life searching for work and you never have this business. Business is momentum. A business is that if every person says yes to you, they get it done every 6 months for life. Eventually you have this giant thing. You're not working as hard to find all that work every single day. You can if you want, but then you got to find all the people to do all the rest of the work, right? Repeat is everything, but let's track that. Let's track our repeat. How many people actually repeat? Well, I bet you, most of them do. Probably get 10 or so that don't, You don't know. Know the actual numbers. Facts are not guesses. I cannot base anything on a guess because it's a prediction. I could be wrong or right, flip of a coin. It could be an educated guess, but I know nothing from that. It's a guess. It's just that. But if a fact is presented, you can base anything off of a fact. Not opinion, not speculation, fact. Numbers are facts. The interesting thing is numbers are boring. So they're like, well, I don't have time for that. Of course. But if you look at all the benefits that they actually bring, it's worth doing. There is a big difference between I spent $100 and I got $200 back versus I spent $100 and I got $150 back. That is a huge ROI difference. And potentially changes everything on where you invest your money. Because again, if I have $10,000 a year, I need to find the place that I can put that $10,000 to make the most money back so that next year my marketing budget goes up. Why ever would you spend X amount of money or X amount of dollars and choose the lesser one? If I said, hey, I want $1,000 from you. Give me $1,000 and I will give you 73 cents back. Or give me $1,000 and I'll give you $1,500 back. Well, in this exaggerated situation, you of course would choose one because you know the facts. But if I said, hey, give me $1,000 and I'll give you money back. How much? Not going to tell you, but either way, you'll get money back. There's a big difference. There's a very, very big difference because at that point, if you knew you were getting the $1,500 instead of, the $1,000 you give them, you go, well, what, can I give you $2,000? Can Could I do 3,000? Well, I actually have this $10,000 I had planned. Can I put it all into that? You then know where to put your money. And I have certain customers that I work with that do only one thing. It's like, hey, this is our best form. It is so much more than every other thing. We have it so dialed in. We put all of our advertising dollars into this. That's not diversifying. I get it. Not everybody's on that platform, but they know that with their budget, they can make the most amount of money for that. Then they can break off little pieces and start putting in other places and start to see. But the only reason they know that is because they've spent years tracking and getting the information to find out. Information is the thing that will differentiate you from the next guy. This is the one piece of the puzzle that tells you truthfully what's going on. Truthfully. The world of Facebook and everything else is so full of just people blowing their own smoke out and trying to cover everything up and telling you only the good things. I make $200 an hour every hour. Wow, really? With drive time? Well, no, but like I had a job last Tuesday. It was $200. Okay, that's more truthful than I make $200 an hour. Knowing these in real factual numbers is how people know their business. Not guess about their business, but know. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's not fun, but it's really, really, really important. And by the way, if you're here and listening, I would like to tell you the shameless plug. I am a rep for windowcleaner.com. It's what I do and how I make my cheddar. I would love to put orders in for you. So if I can do that, if I could be your rep, let me know. 862-312-2026. That's my cell phone. Call me or text me. Let me know. I can put orders in. You can tell me manually. You can save your cart. You can do all that. And I would genuinely, genuinely appreciate it. It's how I exist on this planet. Also, if you haven't yet, go and get a subscription to the American Window Cleaner magazine. It comes with amazing stickers. It comes every single month to your door. Yes, it's a real paper magazine that you can read on the toilet. So go and do that. awcmag.com/sub. Get the subscription because you're awesome. And yeah, I hope you're having an amazing week either way. Yeah, go do all of that. Hopefully start tracking things. I know it's boring, but either way, go out there and be epic.